Wisdom Wednesdays. So today we're going to be talking about how to work with spiritual guides and food guidance. So today's all about like when last week we were still talking about spiritual guides, and this week we're talking about spiritual guides, but how we use them with health. So health and spiritual guides are very important. So I'm checking in with Jill. I think Jill is gonna pull out a tarot card thing, or is it an oracle card? Which one is it?
It's a tarot. Yeah, this is a lovely deck here. It's called Spirit Song, and it's a kind of like a shamanic elemental version of a traditional tarot. And the card I pulled today for the collectives was the Seven of Acorns. And we'll pull it back a bit. There we go. It's a picture of a badger, and acorns in this deck are like wands, and it represents like strength and growth and the energy of fire, so that free will. And the badger and the animal of the kind of spirit animal of badger brings the energy of being fearless and being able to kind of like determination and to conquer your fears and to stand up for yourself and don't run away and be strong and dig down deep and persevere. So at the bottom, it says determination and stamina with the energy of fire. So yeah, so that's what I drew today. I was like, oh, okay. The whole time I was shuffling, I was like, what's the message today for everyone? And so I was like, all right, there we go. So be it. What are you feeling for the collective?
So for the collectives today, so we're feeling a lot of processing, integration, and a lot of energies moving into the body. So my message this week is everything is gonna be okay. Everything is meant to be what is meant to be right now. And most of us are gonna feel like energy moving in, energy moving out. So new energy. So like we could be in a time right in our collectives where we're kind of confused. Like there's probably like the past few weeks, probably 2 3 weeks ago, you're probably feeling this, you're feeling this ucky energy, and you're like in this confused state. Even I self reflect into that confused state. Like, yeah, I was kind of like drifting, and it wasn't really you drifting. It was just your body is transitioning, your body is shifting. So right now, last week is still, a lot of stuff coming out. You're seeing things, for what it is. You're seeing a lot of issues. You're seeing problems for what it is. And this week, I would just say, like, if it's still relying on what all those issues from last week, but then it's more like I would say lessened. It's not as bad as it is. You're probably finding like even in your issues, with the collectives right now, you're finding ways to solve the issue, but in a different way, in a different matter. And that's why I was saying, like, it's there's kind of like balance and alignment too at this time. So you may find some type of balance coming back, and it's not coming all the way right now in this week. This week is just like there's that small balance coming in, and you're starting to realign. One thing that's happening to me in my collectives right now is like, I was kind of like, headspace in and out, wasn't sure what's going on. It was because, there's a lot of healing, karmic energy clearing. And then for some of us, maybe weeks, some of us, we may be looking at 7 weeks before we actually shift forward. Some of us is going to be like, 2 weeks. And it's like, what's going on? My head is somewhere else completely. And now for me, it's like, my consciousness came in today. I'm like, oh, what's that? It's like, so this week is like balance is coming back, realignment. You may even have like these old passion and these old projects coming back. You may even have this ucky shadow work, this karmic, karmic energy coming back from a couple of years ago. It's like I swear I worked on this a couple of years ago. Why is that back? So it's coming back because you're working on another layer. So, anyways, one thing I could bring in, which is not related to collective. So this week, as a reading, expenses may come back. Old lovers, I mean, old friends, things from the past, something in the past may come back, and it's not like for a long time. It's just kind of like, hi, it might be people just saying, hi, how are you? Like, so things it's not long, it's just kind of like a hi bye, you know. And again, this week you may be triggered, but it's not like a heavy triggered. How I explain is like, you know, things could trigger you, but then there's some type of, like, I call it a tunnel of light through the darkness. You know, like you'll be super triggered and you're like, I'm so mad at you, but then like, oh, but then there's some type of balance or some type of release during that trigger. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I should have done that. I'm so sorry. Like, you know, there might be something. So there'd be a balance. So this week's collectives is really interesting. I mean, like I self reflect myself this week on my collectives. I see that, you know, it's still continuing from last week. This week it was kind of like karmic energy clearing. I feel there's a huge clearing, but it's not completely cleared. It feels like, you know how you have like your stomach and you feel like there's something in your stomach and you're like, I can't get rid of that junk. And then now finally, it's finally like I could breathe. So this week is like my
That's
lungs.
good.
So this week is my lungs, and you know I have this energy over my solar plexus and my lungs, and I was clearing it for like last week, almost every day. I was doing breath work like crazy, and now it's like I feel I could breathe. I'm like, this is like one crazy era. It's like that was literally, um,
Yeah, I laughed when you said you know, you mentioned the stomach thing. Well, I had that yesterday. Oh my God, my stomach was just like, "Voila." And so like I went out on my lunch break and I was just like, okay, just let's breathe, let's settle into this energy. And what is it? It was always emotion that needed to come out. And I was just like on my lunch break, and I'm like, my tears are flowing, and I'm trying to get privacy, you know, and I'm like trying to ground myself, and it was just like, wow. I had no, you know, like, wow, like once you just surrender and like breathe into it, it's just like, okay, well, okay, Jill, let's, you know, get yourself back together, go back to work after my lunch break, and we'll do more of this later. But yeah, oh yeah, for sure. There was more stuff there to go work on for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like this week, it's like the word stability comes in.
Yeah.
That's the word I feel this week. It's not like full stability, but it's a
Yeah.
stability. Our body is becoming stable again. It's
Mm.
returning, but then not as fast as we want, but it's coming like in a slow way, like, you know, in a slow and ease where you feel, you know, it's like pieces of you coming back together. It's what I feel. So,
Awesome. Well, that's a good one. All right. And June 4th, which is what, Friday? No, Saturday.
yes.
Full moon.
Yeah, moon coming in again.
Yeah, yeah, here we go. That's right. All right. So last week we finished off our. Sorry, Maya, were you finished? Should I jump on? Should we
Yeah, you go
recap?
ahead, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Last week we finished our spiritual lifestyle series. This week we're starting the food medicine series, and so it's going to be really interesting to look at food a different way. And so, as Maya mentioned earlier, the last episode of our lifestyle series talked about how to work with guides and self care. And we're transitioning to our new series on food medicine, similar topic, and how to use guides for food and health. So, yeah, so it's a nice little segue there. Take it
Yeah.
away, Maya.
All right. So our first question is, what are the benefits of working with your spirit guides on health or food? Okay. So spiritual guides, I know that I worked with spirit guides for a very long time. So one thing I used them was to utilize them for my health. You know, health is very important. I mean, food management, I mean, detoxing. So what are some of the benefits to improve nutrition, or if you're going through some type of diet? Those are some benefits. Excited to eat healthy foods again. If you're kind of like, I don't give a shit about food, like, you know, some of the benefits working with your spiritual guides is, you know, they get you really excited about eating healthy foods, help you find new ways to eat, you know, make food creative for you, so you're more excited. Also learning about the needs of your body. Sometimes we're really neglectful towards our body, so working with the guides help us develop a better relationship with food. Also learning to create a higher vibrational meal each day. Some of us, we all have our days, right? We have our lazy days, we have our high days and our low days. But when we're in our high days, we create higher vibrational meals of the day. So what's higher vibrational meals of the day? It's when you're like, "Doo, doo, doo, I'm feeling this today." That's like the higher vibration. You're like, I should put this and this and this. I would like a salad. I want this and this. It's when you're like, you feeling so good about you. It's like a soul food. You're feeling so good about you, and you're in your higher vibrational meal. Although we should do that every day. Other benefits is gratitude on your body. You have so much gratitude for the food you put in your body. Um, Other benefits, learning to develop an intuition what your body needs versus eating foods. Because the food pyramid or table, or they say how many servings you need in your food, need in your food. So. Other benefits is clear insight on manifesting, clear on insight on food or even like exercise or anything to prevent manifesting, any type of illness or even like colds and flu. Other benefits is like, if you're sick and you're having like colds and flu, then working with guides is like, I'm sick, what do I do, they could give you the steps, or is this like a release, so the guides could give you a deeper insight. Other ones is ancestral genetic, learning about, if learning about your health or any learning about your learning about your health and ancestral genetics that impact on you, which is like your stomach, heart, and fertilization. And another benefit is understanding your spirit DNA. Why is my organ or part of my body not healthy? And they might say it might be karma in this lifetime or some abuse of habits, which is like smoking, drugs, alcohol, lack of nutrition, or your genes, and your spiritual guides can give you a deeper understanding what's why this is happening to you.
Yeah, thanks, Mai. So, why do we work with spiritual guides on health and healing our body? Well, they give you a different perspective. They can help you make decisions, they can give you options, choices, and because it's all tied together. Our physical body affects our spiritual body, affects our mental body. It's all related, it's all tied together. They can also like guide you on what foods to decrease in volume because it could be just a volume level thing, or maybe you need to increase other foods and maybe get more active. They can help you create a daily plan to help you to create a balance with the addictions. So an example would be like refined sugar addictions, guilty, and you can maybe substitute it with like something a healthier choice, like some dates, which is all like natural sugar. They can help give you deeper insight as to what type of healing may be needed. So maybe a massage can help you move the anxiety and the tension in the muscles, or the massage will help you release some of the trapped energy. In terms of food, they can say, maybe eat some bananas to help you with anxiety and to ground your solar plexus chakra. They can also help you work with anxiety attacks. If you're having this energetic kind of rush and you're feeling a little bit of panic, we can be there to guide you and say, it's okay, calm down, it's going to be okay, breathe, just inhale and exhale, look into my eyes, feel my energy, inhale, exhale, breathe, breathe. I love you, it's going to pass, it's going to be okay, you are safe, you are safe, you are safe. Yeah.
All right, question number 3. So, question number 3 is, what kind of questions we can ask our spirit guides when working with our health or food. So, I've noticed that a lot of people don't know how to ask questions with the spirit guides. They always use the, like, what do you call it, the pendulum, like the yes and no, what's wrong with me with food. But with spirit guides, we can ask, a lot of questions. So, I just want to give some examples that we can ask our spirit guides about working with, with health, with our health or food. What foods can help me ground? That's a great question. Other questions is, which doctor is best for me? Doctor 1, 2, or 3? What types of doctor? Should I use an energy doctor, a shamanic doctor, a holistic doctor? So when we're talking about doctors, and this is saying like, I know that I'm not, I know that I'm sick. and I have this illness, but which doctor do you think is best for me? Should I use this doctor or Doctor One, Doctor Two, or Doctor Two Spirit Guide? Which one do you think is, the better one for me? So they can give you that type of guidance. They can't choose for you because you're the one who's choosing. They give you the guidance you need. Like this doctor number two's number is good for you. They're holistic, and they can give you the pros and cons. They can, and the other one was like what type of doctor. Sometimes, when you're giving, when you're asking advice about your health, or like say you have an illness with the doctor, and sometimes you're like, oh, if I'm ill, what can, I'm ill, spirit guide, but what kind of healing do I need? So sometimes they say you'll need a doctor, you need some energy work, and a shaman. You'll need this person. You need to work on your lifestyle and detox. So your spirit guides can give you a deeper, help you in a deeper level to heal. DNA healing is what we call it. Other questions is, guys, I'm having a hard time focusing lately. So this is like really general. This is a general question. I say to my guys, I have a hard time focusing lately. Let's say it's been 2, 3 days. You're like, you know what? I've been really lazy. What kind of wellness activity can really help me? Do I need adjustment? Do I need a massage? Yoga classes? Do I need some special wellness class? Do I need to connect with certain people? Do I need to meditate more? Sometimes you guys like, oh yeah, you need to meditate more. That help bring you a little more focus right now. Or if you're going through like a karmic time, like your body is karmically processing, when your body is karmically processing in your health, because health starts showing up. You're like, oh, this is karma energy, karmic energy processing. Okay, so my body is releasing, spirit guide, what do I need? And they may be like, you need a massage. So, you need more circulation that can really help it heal. Anyways, other questions or statements. I have been having a lot of stress. I do this. I've been having a lot of stress in my lower back. Is this pain mine, or did I manifest it, or is this stress, or the energy is this energy related? So for us, for all of us, we all work, right? We all work, we're connected to people, and everyone, I would tell you, everyone has had lower back pain. Okay. So for me, it's like, well, sometimes my body has a lot of lower back pain. They'll tell me like, you know what? It's not being stressed. It's your energy. Your energy field. Sometimes they're like, it's people's energy. And you're holding their energy and you're holding their space. So you have to clear that out. Well, what can I use? And they're like, oh, you can use Reiki, simple energy work. You need to do some exercise or some yoga poses. You just need to meditate and let it release out of your body. You just need to surrender. Guides are awesome. Other one is, I have been feeling depressed lately. An emotional trigger. What can assist me to help cope me and help me process these feelings? What foods can help me? So for you, like for example, it's like, you've been just really depressed, and like you're depressed and emotional trigger, that you can ask your guys why you feel depressed. Sometimes we don't even know why we're feeling depressed, because like one be like, oh, your soul piece is missing, that's why you're feeling depressed. Okay. Another question, which foods can help me heal my throat more? So this is like, for example, it's like, if you're a person, you're like, you're working at throat chakra, and you're like, I'm working on my throat chakra, and I want to heal my throat more. What can help me with my throat? If you're having health issues around your throat, this is also really good to work with your spirit guides. I'm feeling like, I have like, I'm feeling I have a sore throat. What can help me? Oh, this tea, these herbs can really help you, assist you. Oh, you need more fluids in your, system to help move the system. They may even tell you like, not just foods, but then like, while you're working on the food with your, with your throat chakra, this is the health you need. You need to work on these energy points. You need to massage here, or you need, an ointment that's really soothing. Usually they'll tell you like what type of ointment too. Other statements. I want my life to be more plentiful, which is like, I want more abundant. I want to bring more abundance into my life, but which food can also help me bring that, help bring me like inner me being more, abundant or plentiful, or what I would say, like positive. I want to bring more positive in me. Sometimes with foods, some foods are really bad for our body. So for like, for example, it's acidic food. If you're like, hey, I want to be more mindful, do know that acidic food is not the food you need if you're trying to be like more and mindful, be more aware. You're trying to be more peace and loving. So when we want our body to be a certain way, like you want to bring more peace and positive vibes, just think about the foods too. So So your spirit guides are really good, giving you that type of guidance. Other questions: which teas are good for my stress of now? Which is when we're talking. When I talk with my spirit guides, like, well, what's good for me right now? Like in the present now, what do you need? So that's what we're asking. We don't ask like, what teas is good for my health. That's indicating like overall my health, which tea is good for me. But when we're asking, and you when it comes to your health, it's like right now, what tea is good for me, or what herb is good for me, what food is good for me. Another question is, this is just a random question that I wrote, which herbs are good for my liver? I want to detox my liver, and your guides give you the guidance like, oh, you need to do this type of herbs are good for your liver, or these teas are good for your liver, like, and I want to, and you want to, and you said you want to detox my liver. Well, what's the process for me to detox my liver? And they'll give you a list, or they'll like, push you, or they'll even put like, if you're not like connected to your guides, like I don't hear my guides, how do I know healthily? Well, you're gonna see it when you're on social media, and like you may be talking to a friend, you might be catching words, or like, oh, they're talking about liver, or you might see a news feed talking about detoxing my liver. So that's when they're, your spirit guides are connecting with you. Other questions: what blocks are in my uterus? Okay, as a woman, I ask this sometimes. I get like just because I see a visual in my uterus, and I see like blocks sometimes, and I'm like, okay, what blocks are in my uterus? What do I need to release? And usually with the uterus, they'll tell me like it's energy that needs to be released, energy that needs to be clearing. You're connecting with people with your creative energy, and you need just to clear it out. So that's kind of like something. Another question: my lungs don't feel good. Do I need to see a doctor? For okay, this also pertains to like when you have colds and flu, like how you get like you get really sick, like, oh my gosh, I'm sick. What is this manifesting? Is this just a small little cold, or is this a flu? Or even with a cough, like you start coughing, and you're like, something's manifesting right now. Like, is this a cold? Is this a flu? Is this a virus? Or is this just a release? Is this going to be here for that long, or is it going to be short? And your guides will answer to you. They'll tell you that, oh, it's just a small release. One time I had a sore throat, right? And I was like, oh my God, I can't be super sick at work, right? This is not the time. They're like, oh no, it'll be gone in a day or two. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this is just like a little body release of my energy work. I would tell you that if you are doing energy work on your body, lots of energy work on your body, I will tell you your body will physically release it at times. So you might get like a cold a week later. If you've been working your body and you're like, I'm just doing energy release, I'm just healing, just know that your physical body will be releasing it. Sometimes you may get this humongous, like you're sick for an entire week. It's because your body is purging, your body is clearing. And that's a good sign. Your body is just clearing. And when your body is clearing all that toxic stuff, and that's when you still need your spirit guides, like spirit guide. Okay, I understand we're doing all these energy clearing, we're moving all this karmic energy, debris out of my body. I feel super sick. What is the process now? I'm like, okay, so then you just listen to your guides, and they'll give you the process, like, okay, so this is what kind of food you'll need while you're healing, your aftercare. And when you're done fully healing, you still have to continue doing this and this. So another question: something is wrong with me, what can I do? What are my options? So for me, this is like, you wake up and you're not in the right mind space, and you feel like really loopy. This is my question: something's wrong with me, and what can I do? Guide, what are my options? What is needed to be done? What is needed to be done in my body physically? And they're like, oh, you just need to do some breath work, honey. Just have too much stuff in your, you have too much energy in your thoughts. You just need to do some breath work. So these are just like examples of questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Mai. So our next topic is going to be around food trauma. And the first question is, what is spiritual food trauma? So food trauma is associated with trauma in either current or past lives. It can be resulting from near-death experiences. It can be shown itself in obsessive disorders. It can appear as food trauma can appear as food fears, food patterns, addictions, maybe food abuses, food shaming that impacts your physical, mental, or spiritual body. So a few examples, and from past lives, can play out in this timeline. and you have a food poisoning from past life. And in this lifetime, you're completely adverse to the food that you were poisoned in. So, like, say if like arsenic was hidden in oranges, and then this lifetime, and you died in that lifetime, this lifetime you hate oranges without explanation, well, maybe you need past life healing. In the category of food abuse in this lifetime, we're all forced to eat foods like as children that we don't like. And there could be some food shaming involved in that too. So for example, well, if you don't eat this food, you're going to be left out of this group, or you can't go here, you can't play with your friends after dinner if you don't eat this food, and you hate it because you either have, it hurts your stomach, it's got associated to like painful or vulnerable past life experiences. It could be even meat, and you're so sensitive to energy that you think you're eating another animal's soul. You also could be afraid of certain foods. So you could also have food fears. So you could be, food of like not having enough food, or you don't want to eat at all certain foods. You could have like starvation from past lives, or not, like your fear of not having enough food. You could have food addictions where you eat only certain foods and way too much of them, or you just have or too much of food in general, you eat way too much. Either way, there's a lot of ways that like spiritual food trauma can play into our daily lives. And people are spiritually traumatized with certain foods need a soul retrieval and restoration and healing of the trauma that occurred to them in this lifetime. And the sight of foods can make you very vulnerable, very sick. So that's a kind of like the clues that you need, that you might have some food trauma there, and to look at it from a spiritual perspective. And so, like, for example, your energy bodies, like your emotional body, like how do you feel about certain foods? And so you might need emotional body healing. Well, sometimes then they might need a physical aspect healing. So there's many different layers to these food traumas that affects our energy systems.
All right. So, question number 5 is, what are some ways to heal from food trauma with guides? So, cutting cords with foods, just temporarily cutting cords, energetic foods, especially with past lives, like this is another lifetime, or even with any type of abuse with food. Um, Other ways is healing trust and feeling physically and emotionally safe eating certain foods. So it's really important for us to start surrendering, letting go of old attachments with that food, but then start developing a relationship with food, which is feeling safe. For me, it's all about feeling safe, because if I have some connection with food, and I'm like, I end the old cycle of this food right now, in this old cycle, this was another lifetime ago, and I'm ready to move forward, spirit guides. I'm ready to heal, with food right now, spirit guides. And, when you're connecting with that food, it's like, I feel safe. I feel safe. I'm feeling safe. I feel secure about this food. Other one is like Jill mentioned, is healing past life. It's related. Definitely a lot of forgiveness and just really surrendering. It's all about letting go. So if it's past life, letting go. Sometimes you have to do more than past life, which is your spirit body, even with soul pieces, because our soul pieces tend to remember a lot. So when it remembers a lot, even in our present now, we're like, oh no, because a part of you is remembering. Other ones is therapy. If it's some type of abuse or obsessive food disorder, then definitely see a therapist, and working with a therapist, and then working with spirit guides. Sometimes when it's a really big issue, we can work with multiple healing, which is having energy healing to help heal you, working with spiritual guides, even having a physical therapist to help you with coping with stuff. Other ones is feeling safe in relationship with, like I said, feeling safe and having a relationship with food. Another one is, Akashic record reading. Sometimes you have to go into your Akashic records, I need to know why every time I see the sight of this food, I feel like vomiting or I feel extreme anxiety. Like it's like, and I feel like I'm gonna faint because of the sight of the food. So, other one is energy healing to help release trauma. And there's many types of energy healing. And sometimes we might have to do like coping mechanisms to help us cope with it. And another one is soul journey with your guides, having a shamanic journey or even a soul journey with your spirit guides where they can take you back and like, oh yeah, okay, I see, I understand. Sometimes we do have to do a soul journey to make us really truly understand ourselves.
All right. Question number 6. How do you know if you have food anxiety? Well, you may not have known it was called food anxiety because you maybe have a nervous system reaction. Like your heart starts to race, or you're like, all of a sudden you have stress for no reason, either before or after eating certain foods. You feel like throwing up with, just looking at certain foods. Or it could even manifest as something more physical, like you actually have nausea, sick to your stomach before or after eating. You could have cold chills down the spine. You could be you could be sweating, fainting, like anxiety, like heart racing. And sometimes food anxiety, like those are the obvious signs of anxiety, because sometimes they can be more subtle. So because you have anxiety or fears, you want to control food. So, for example, I only eat salads a certain way. Like I only have lettuce and I only have celery on top of it. Nothing else. Nothing else. No tomatoes, no cucumbers, nothing else. Just celery. So that's a control to manage an anxiety. Or you use foods can only be cooked a certain way because they make you feel better. So you're reducing your anxiety that way. So for example, you only want to eat warm foods. You don't want to eat raw at all. Raw just doesn't make you feel good. There's no nourishment in there. So it's an emotional connection that you need to manage your anxiety through warm foods. Another thing around foods anxiety is food scarcity. So there's stress, like food stress. So, and like I said earlier, it may be a result of a past life fear of starving to death. But this food scarcity or food anxiety can manifest itself into, you always need to have a full fridge. When the fridge gets empty, it literally creates stress in your body. Or you're panicking about like, what are we going to eat next meal? There's nothing in here. There's like, you can start to feel this kind of stress and anxiety coming up. Food anxiety can result from food shaming. You may not realize you're being food shamed, but we talked a little bit about that in our last section around, family, especially family. Friends, you may not care so much, but your family, if you're around them, and they start to question your food choices, like, why are you eating meat? Or why are you not eating meat? Those kind of things. Food anxiety can also show up in, you want to avoid certain food events or food lunches, group lunches, or you feel anxiety around people when it comes to eating with groups. So because it may remind you of like a banquet in the past life, where this big lush full banquet of people where everyone got murdered at this banquet. Next thing you know, this life you hate eating with groups. So anyway, there's lots of reasons why there's food anxiety, and it can be energetic and spiritual related.
All right, question number 8. How to work with spirit guides when you're physically and mentally ill. So when you're physically and mentally ill, this is when you start want to asking your spirit guides, like, what is going on with your body physically. Sometimes even when you're, what I call mentally ill is like, when your mind isn't in the right space, you start feeling depressed or anxiety, or even having like a mental breakdown, even like when you're, like I call it emotionally unstable. So this is when you want to ask, really work with your spirit guides. Anyways, one things you could do is you could ask them to go on a soul journey with you and start doing like soul retrieving. It means soul parts. You want to make sure before you do that is like, do you need a soul retrieval or even a soul part? And they usually will tell you you need a soul retrieval or soul part. So especially with our health is very important because, like, if they're telling you that you need to do a soul journey, that a soul journey doesn't indicate doing a soul retrieval. A soul journey is indicating we need to go and look into your body. So that's what a soul journey is. And then it's kind of your spirit guides give you the diagnosis, like, you might need a soul retrieval. Or sometimes it's not a soul retrieval. Sometimes it's just restoring. Like, oh, this energy point is just open, so we just need to restore it a little bit. So, or we need to fix this, or we just need to clean it out, whatever reason. Um, and then there's also soul calling, which is, if your spirit guide is telling you that you need to call your soul pieces back, or even your higher self needs to come back, or a part of your soul is, got lost, or for whatever reason. So that could cause a lot of mental illness and a lot of, physical ailments. Other one is doing a reading with them, or even getting a reading from someone else, on the health you want to look at. So when it comes to reading, it's if you're connected with spiritual guides, they can give you a reading, or you can understand what they're telling you, and you're just learning to interpret it. Another one is having a reading with someone. If you're having a psychic medium, you want them to specialize in health, because if you go get a reading from any like random person, they do not specialize in health. So you make sure that if you're doing a reading for your health, mentally or physically, you want to do one with either like with a shaman or someone who specializes in health as a medium. Other ways is do healing when you're in bed. So let's just say I used to do this all the time. Like I'm like, I'm sick already. Wow, we might as well just go away. It's like we might as well just wear it in bed. I feel I'm really sick already, so we might as well just clear everything out instead of just like your body's purging already and you're already sick already. So and to me, like, it depends various person. Like if I'm sick already, let's just get through it. And it could be worse. And then sometimes when they go deeper and they start healing you, sometimes it lessens. So it just kind of varies how your body responds. But my point is, like, when you're in bed and you're really sick, really, just do healing. Other ones is consult with your spirit guides about aftercare. Like, hey, you know what self care. This is when you are in bed still. If you're still like in bed like me, you're like, okay, spirit guide, after all this process, usually I ask them a lot of questions like, so what's the process? So I'm sick right now. Oh, what needs clearing? My throat's clearing. My throat is clearing. Okay. No, and why is it clearing? Okay, what kind of DNA? Okay, what are we activating? What are we expanding? Okay, like I need full clarity. And then it's kind of like, okay, so what do I need for my body? You need this and this. Okay, what happens if I don't take that? You're gonna get sick and this can manifest. Okay, understanding, like, so for again, like self-care, sometimes you want to ask like aftercare. If you're physically ill and like, okay, so what kind of self-care must I take afterwards? Do I need some type of self-care? Like, yeah, you might need some meditations, they might say, or you need to continually detoxing. You need to start slowly cutting energy cords, or you need to stop eating these type of foods for your health. Another one is working on a plan on healing. You and your spirit guides can create a plan like detoxing, remineralization of the body, which is like, your body is like depleted of energy source or depleted of physical minerals, and you're working slowly on a plan with them, learning how to remineralizing that body and working with nutrients to help your body process and you can also ask like other options that can help you in the process, which is like, when your physical body is going through changes, then you can also ask like, okay, so we're working on this plan. What can also, mostly they'll say, oh, you need to meditate, you need to do some yoga, you need to go do some running exercise, you need to focus on your root chakra. So we're going to be focusing, doing this kind of poses, or you need to stretch this area, or for me it's like the spinal cord. You have a lot of energy coming up and down through your spine physically, and it's creating a lot of health issues for you. So you need to make sure that you're always stretching. Other ones is like ask what karmic energy you need to be released. You know what? our body is always releasing karmic energy. So if you're physically ill or mentally ill, our body is constantly releasing. So you can ask like, what karmic energy is being released? Sometimes like, oh, abuse of power, of course. They did that to me one time. Like, you're releasing abuse of power. I'm like, oh, great. It's like, uh, I'm like, this is like, because like sometimes the karmic energy is not always on a physical, but it could be a mental level where you're like, okay, your brain is going low, all over. It's like your body is just processing and it's just releasing only. Okay. And you can ask like, how long is this? Like for me, it's like, how long is this gonna take? A week. Sometimes it's like 5 days. So you're gonna be feeling this for 5 days, and it'll get better and better. Other ones, questions you can ask is like, is ask, what addictions or lifestyles need to be surrendered or let go. Other ones is ask if it's related to spiritual attachments, entities, and energy. You know how many times I've seen spiritual attachments, energy attachments, even entities, even people's energies have gotten me sick mentally and physically. So anyone who's like empathic, this is what you want to look at mostly. If you're a person who's very empathic and you're very connected, or you work in a workplace, or you're very connected to people, then you need to start looking into spiritual attachments also. Because if you could be really close to somebody and they could be really sick, and you could be like connecting with them, then before you know it, that energy's attaching to you, and you're gonna get sick. So that's why I say be aware of spiritual attachments, cutting cords with spiritual attachments, not allowing them to come into your field, or you mean clear them out your field. And that can really help. That makes a huge difference. I just say like, for our bodies spiritually, when we're cleaning our body more, purifying, using clean energies more, we tend to be more healthy and we tend to be less sick. um, Next one is another one to work with, to how to work with your spiritual guides when you're physically and mentally sick, is cellular quantum energy healing. I find that any type of quantum energy healing really beneficial. It can really help with the cells a lot. It can be help with like, one thing they had me do was work on my mitochondria or something. I mean, cellular. I've even used it for like my eye. I've even used it when I had flus and virus, and even like my lymphatic system. Like, oh my gosh, my lymphatic. Okay. So sometimes with me, especially like sometimes I'm not even sick at all. Like I'm not even sick at all, and I was like, what, we need to work on. We're working on these health stuff. And I'll make myself sick basically. So please don't do that. um, yeah, because like I'm continuing, like it's not preventing. It's like I know that these are my energies and they need to be clear, and they're like health issues. One of them I started working was my thymus, and then it's like there's nothing wrong with my thymus right now, but that's what we call working with your spiritual guides and health, which is working on spiritual health, which is like working on thymus right now. What needs to be released? And my spirit guides be like, this is what's attaching you, this is what you need to release, and stuff like that. You don't always have to be physical, but sometimes just to know that if you're doing energy work on your body and it's not physically ill or mentally ill, and it's just like you doing energy work or you clearing energies within it, you will get sick. So
All right. Question number 9. How do you work with spirit guides when you have some deep emotional pain, or your physical health is failing? And the emotional pain can trigger the physical health. And it can be guilt, shame, grief, depression, anxiety, or feeling hopeless, that you're not even getting better. So your health isn't what it used to be. So first, number 1 with anything that I always talk about on these shows is surrender. Just give yourself permission to let go. Forgive yourself for everything that that you didn't do, that you did not do for yourself, the whole process of your healing. Like, let it go. Forgive yourself. Learn to make peace with the reality of your situation. So you come into acceptance of where you are. You're not in denial. trust the process, especially, if you're working with your guides the whole time, because they see things from a bird's eye view. They see it from a different lens, a different picture, and they just trust that they know what they're doing. Now, that other bigger picture is very important because you're so focused on how shitty you feel, you may miss that there's a bigger picture or deeper meaning to this whole situation. Maybe there's a life lesson. Maybe you signed up for this. Maybe that was your soul plan. Maybe, there's so many things, layers of things that changing it to a positive perspective, because there could be something positive about it that you're not seeing, will help you. Regardless of how it ends, trust the guides, because they see that bigger picture. And then, of course, like always, let go of all the emotions. So the loss, the grief, the blame, the anger, the pride, the self-worth, all that stuff that comes with the guilt and the shame and the grief and the depression, all that comes with those emotions when we're feeling ill or emotionally ill. Then you try to rebuild the trust after you let all that go. And it's okay to lose faith. It's okay to be temporarily, momentarily set back, but you have to bounce back. You have to find that silver lining. You have to find something positive to focus on. And then you can heal yourself about trust, to trust and faith and let go and forgiveness. Yeah. And of course, with everything, with all these things, there's always anger. And, letting go of that anger, you need to let go of that too. And, you can get so emotionally like, why is this happening to me? Why? And you go, okay, I acknowledge that I'm feeling anger. I acknowledge that I'm feeling frustration. I acknowledge it and I surrender to it. I don't deny that it's there. It is there. I am angry. I'm not going to hide it anymore. And okay, I surrender it. I let it go, and just kind of soften your energy field and let that go. And look at these things that trigger you with the anger. Look them as like, how this is angering me. Yes, I get it. I'm angry. But look, thank you for showing me that I needed this healing, because I am angry. Therefore, I need the healing. And this is an opportunity for me to heal and improve myself. So I see it as a good lesson learned to say, yeah, I'm mad at myself. I'm beating myself up because I didn't go to the doctor earlier in my health issues. I learned it, my lesson. I'm going earlier now. Thank you. Yeah, I learned my lesson.
Yes. Yeah, especially with health, it's very, very important. I know that it's very important for you to build that trust and, release and surrendering. For me, I will tell you a little story. A couple of years ago, my limbs have failed on me, and what happened is, I got really sick where my tongue was swelled and I wasn't able to talk. I sound like this. I couldn't talk. Okay, like I couldn't count words, and I got super super sick. And at the time, I was super sick. The doctors have given me some medicine and it didn't really help. With the infection and stuff like that. It made my tongue worse, made my infection worse. So I started going and I asked my spirit guides, and that's how I knew when I worked with my spirit guides, that really shifted my entire journey about health. So when my limbs were really sore, and I was like, Spirit guide, what do I need? And they're like, you need ginger. I'm like, what? Like, it's like simple like that. Like, yeah, you just need the ginger. You need to get the ginger, and you need to get the ginger, but you don't drink it. You need to hit it, because it activates the juice. And when you drink that ginger, when the juice is activated, then you suckle on it into your tonsils, and like it's your infection is coming through your tonsils, and it's going through all your lymph is all infected. So I did that for 3 days, and you know what, I didn't need those medicines. I was like healed like that. But what happened is I didn't just heal like that. So my spirit guides, they took me into, I had a soul journey and took me deep And when I went into that soul journey, they took me into a pyramid. And into that pyramid, I was so scared because I was at the beginning of my journey. I was really sick, and I was like, I don't, when you're super sick, you're like, I'll take anything, like basically. So I went into the pyramid with my spirit guide, and they told me to go in. And when I was going to the pyramid, it was like this huge, what do you call it, like the rail coming down, and it was like in Mexico. I don't even know it was like Mexico. And I found that out years later. So I went in. I was like, okay. So I went in. I'm like, okay, so we're in this building. And it's like all these like weird stuff inside. I think like you could probably relate. We go to this Mexican. I think like it's in Mexican province. And I went in, and then I saw this lady. She's all black. She had no face. Like she was all black. She had long hair, and I was like, oh my god, what's going on? And it was so I went in, and they told me to go in because my guides couldn't go with me because they said because they can't go with you with the the goddess healer. So I go in, and then we go into this little swirly, like it's like an elevator, but it's this little swirly levitating up there, and I had to crawl in there. And then the goddess started swirling me like magically, like it was like the spider spinning its web on me. I'm like, oh my god! And she kept talking to me, and when she was talking, I was like, yeah, yeah. And it was like levitating. It's the first time I heard someone levitating. And she was talking telepathically to me. And I was so scared. And I was like, and I was so I was like, I don't want to do this. And so I ran down. And they're like, Maya, you wanted help, didn't you? I'm like, yes. Go back there. You can walk away and you could be sick, or you can go in there and get healed. I'm like, so here I crawled up. I'm like, okay, I'm here. Wrap me up like mummy. They wrap me up. So she basically wrapped me up like a mummy, right? She was like spinning me and doing all, I don't know, I can't explain it. Like she was magically healing me, levitating. And then I woke up, and a few days later, my throat was like, it was healed. Like, so I don't have like, lymphatic issues anymore. Or like, it's not like a big issue where my tongue was infected anymore. So, but
Awesome.
But the thing is, there is self care, because that's why I would say, like, there is always aftercare, even when something big happens to you like that. And that self care is going to always be like, you have to connect with your spirit guys. Like, what's your self care? And they're like, making sure you're drinking enough with fluids. They might even tell you this is the energy points that you need to do. This is what you need to do more of. So, anyways, so we are coming to the end of our live, and we're going to be talking about our retreat. So Jill, go ahead and talk about our retreat.
Yeah, well, it's what, 2 weeks away? No, 3 weeks away now. Wow, 2 weeks before I have to kick it into high gear. And we are polishing up the final the agendas. We're going through the dry runs now. Maya and I, we're kind of going through, we're rejigging a lot of the classes because Leandro and Desiree are joining us. And so we're just working on the flow for the two of us. And I'm starting to get out my recipes for all the food that I'm making. And it's so timely now because I'm thinking of like spiritual, like we're talking spiritual food traumas. And we're going to, look at my recipes going, what would nourish the soul? What would nourish the soul? Yeah. So, I have to get all my recipes, which will inform my grocery shopping list. So, so working on that food menu plan, I guess, menu planning. Yeah.
Next weekend I'll be in Canada, so I'll be in Canada next weekend. And so for the retreat, I said there's a lot of information at the retreat. There's a lot about like intuitive food or soul food. Soul food is something that I grew up with my family, so it's not like just soul food, but my dad did a lot of medicine food, which is learning how to put it into our foods and stuff like that. So I grew up like that. And it nourishes your soul in a deeper level because, like, with medicine, some people with medicines, like, people don't want to take medicine, but it's putting that, it's like aroma, which is, we'll talk about food aroma next week, which is bringing that aroma into the food and eating it through the aroma. So anyways, and there's going to be other stuff, which is like, we're going to be doing like a tea reading, which is really exciting. There's so much from a tea reading, so much to learn about tea reading. There's things that, you have to be there to do the tea reading, which is to learn about yourselves. So our retreat this year is all about manifesting, manifesting you. So anyone who's coming to retreat, just let you know that. So because then there's the new moon before the solstice. So that really indicates something new, a new journey. You want to bring something new within yourself. But so it kind of opens the doorway. The new moon opens the door, but the solstice really helps cultivate, really helps you blossom that. So within the treat, within those few days, is us like doing shadow work, clearing, releasing, surrendering, and then kind of like, okay, setting intentions, working with your spiritual guides while we're, guiding you at the same time, and then really blossoming, like, okay, we're opening this through the solstice. And then the solstice will have a ceremony also. There's going to be some, stuff there. There's going to be like, dancing. There's going to be like painting, embodiments, honoring yourself. And it's about like self-worth, feeling really confident, feeling good about yourself. Like, part of manifesting with the solstice is like, what? This is me. This is truly me. Because when you truly are confident and you truly honor yourself, you become like, you manifest, you become. If you kind of like start manifesting something like, this is what I would like to become, and you're not feeling confident about it, and it's kind of like, and I call it like karmic manifesting. It's not, it'll come, but they'll be like, it comes, it'll make you'll kind of like self-reflect, I don't know, man. I wanted this. I wanted it, but I didn't come. Yeah, because you didn't really you didn't truly put yourself in it. You thought that's what you wanted, so.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about me and Jill teaching more about manifestation, set intention, which is like setting the stage, bringing that more in a deeper level. So.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And, it's our first retreat, and I've learned so much about, going through the process of creating a retreat is a journey for each of us. Like, it's been a journey for me because it's confronting, it forces us to grow and expand and face things and prepare ourselves. And when you're doing a spiritual retreat, it's that much like more intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been so great. And I really hope that if you feel called, whoever's listening, and you're still uncertain about, is this for me? Well, text Maya and I in the group, let us know, like, ask us any questions that you want. And if you have any concerns or your little fear, if you kind of called to it, but you've got a little fear, just reach out and we'll support you. So yeah.
So next week, I think we're going to be talking about aroma. Is that my understanding? We'll be talking about food aroma, essential oils, and the home. So we're going to be talking more about the importance of aroma. So aroma doesn't indicate always essential oils. It also indicates when you're cooking in the home and you smell the aroma, the importance of it too. So
beautiful.
All right. So me and Jill will meet you next week. So join us next Wednesday.
Yeah.